Thanks for listening to FYI Stillwater, where you will hear information about your local government you didn't know you need to know, straight from the source. Be sure to check out other news and information from the City of Stillwater at stillwater.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter. Hi, I'm your host, Sherry Fletcher, Director of Marketing and Civic Engagement. Today, my co-host is Tommy Marshall, our new multimedia technician. So, welcome to FYI Stillwater, and you're new here to the city. Can you tell us a little bit of something about yourself for our audience?
Well, I am new to Stillwater in general. I am from Stroud, Oklahoma, which is almost dead center on Route 66.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a couple years of graphic design experience under my belt and a couple years of interactive multimedia experience.
So normally you would be the person on the other side of the microphone, but
Right.
Today you decided to join us as a co-host.
Mm-hmm. Normally I would be the one editing the audio and making sure it's ready to go on air.
Okay, so who is our guest today?
Today's guest is Mary Dickey, and she is the Director of Animal Welfare. This is Mary's first time on the show as well.
Okay, so can you give us some basic facts?
Well, Animal Welfare performs welfare checks and ensures that the proper care and housing is provided for animals. And they also record lost and found animals and contact owners of those animals. They also respond to calls concerning barking dogs or dogs at large, nuisance cats and dogs, aggressive, sick, or injured animals, animal bites and attacks, and loose livestock.
So they do perform a really needed a function in the city. They're part of the police department, so they're under that. But they also share a facility with the Humane Society. Well, welcome to FYI Stillwater, Mary. We're so glad you could join us, but you're not alone.
Hey, thank you. I'm glad I'm here too. I have a little friend with me today. It's a little 8-week-old chocolate puppy. It's a boy, and he's got a little white chest and white toes and green eyes. He's really pretty.
Oh, he's so cute.
And he's having a real hard time sitting still on my lap here because he's so playful.
He is. He does. He looks like a newborn, and I do want to pick him up, but he'll make me sneeze, so I'm not going to. But he's really pretty. You said those are green eyes, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, look at him.
So we have more like him at the shelter, and we've got some of his litter mates and some others. And his adoption fee, if anyone out there might be interested in coming to see him, is $60, and that includes all of his vaccinations up to date for his age, and he is neutered, and he is also microchipped with a lifetime pre-registered microchip. So that's all quite a bit. For $60, that's a really good deal because it costs $150, $200 at your vet to get all that done with a new puppy.
Right.
So it's a really good start in life for them. And they also come with a sample of the Hill Science diet that they eat there.
Oh, okay. Well, now that we know about Dandelion, let's find out something about Mary. We're going to start our podcast with a lightning round, and we're going to ask you some random but revealing questions.
Okay.
Are you ready, Mary?
I'm ready, I think.
No, you'll be fine. Tommy?
Okay, our first question is, as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay. Well, most of my life, I always wanted to actually work in wildlife, and I kind of fulfilled that dream at Oklahoma State University. But here's the part that's really funny. When I was 5 years old, I think everybody did this in kindergarten. They had a straw picture of what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I drew myself holding a leash and said I wanted to be a dog catcher.
Oh, no way.
So that I could save the dogs and get them back home.
Aww.
So I have fulfilled my childhood
You
dream.
have. Oh, that's so sweet.
And they thought I was really weird.
They thought, really? I would think that would be
Well, everybody else wanted to be a
one.
princess or,
No, the dog
or a
catcher.
nurse or a teacher.
Yeah.
I was the only dog catcher.
So you always knew animals was
Yeah.
in your
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So did you come from a family that had a lot of animals?
Not till I was born. Yeah,
You
forced them on.
insisted?
Yeah,
You insisted.
pretty
yeah,
much.
awesome. Yeah, I can't imagine you without pets.
No, me either.
Yeah. So you have hedgehogs.
I do have hedgehogs at home.
I stalk you on Facebook, and the hedgehogs are so cute.
Well, for our last question, this one I think is very interesting. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Okay, well, I'm going to relate this to the job, too. I'm sure I've been given lots of good advice in my lifetime, but I thought of this because this recently came up with a new person who was looking for advice of their own in animal rescue world, and it was to leave your anger behind, because we come in and we don't like how other people are taking care of their animals, or we don't agree that they're giving them up, or we don't, and we're there to help. We're not, so you have to not take it, not judge, not take it personally, not be angry at the people, and try to help.
Got to just take it all with a grain of salt.
Yep.
And leave your work at work.
Yeah.
Which I think would be really hard.
It kind of is with animal shelter work, because it doesn't end.
Because you're an advocate for the animal.
Right. And nowadays with Facebook, which of course we're on Facebook, people will contact me at home, and not just me, but the Humane Society director, my employees. When there's a loose dog over here, it's like, okay, it's midnight.
So do you feel like you're on call 24/7?
And yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're not left alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people do have questions, and they're always assuming that somebody's listening,
right?
And not realizing that you do have a separation of job and your home life.
We try, but some of those people, they're very helpful. But
well, let's just jump into the meat of our conversation and really talk about animal welfare. So. So I said earlier that you share a building with Humane Society, but you guys are I don't know, companion organizations,
right.
I guess?
We work together. A lot of people don't realize we do adopt out animals, which is kind of nice to have this puppy here today, so we can talk about that. We are a full-service shelter, so we're open intake to the city limits of Stillwater only. And we do adoptions, and we do, like you were saying earlier, welfare checks or cruelty cases, and we have trained officers that go out in the field to do these things. Mm-hmm. And the Humane Society is they're a volunteer organization that helps find homes for animals. So they're mainly an adoption agency and for education, but they partner with us. So if we can't find a home for an animal and it's of good health and adoptable, then they take it to their side and then keep it till it gets a home. And that whole system keeps us no kill for adoptables.
So you are in the police department, so there is regulations and you follow.
Right, we have to follow the city ordinances. Mm-hmm. And one of those ordinances, because people ask us about the out of town, we have an ordinance that says from within 10 miles of City Hall for a fee we can take it if we have space, if it's not sick, if it's not tied up in legal litigation, and something the sheriff's department should be doing.
Oh, okay.
But having space is the big thing. So we're not just deciding that we're not taking it because we don't like animals now. Yeah. that's what we get accused of next. Oh, you decide, you don't really care about animals. We're actually following the city ordinance. Mm-hmm. And so the ordinance is not only for the care of the animal and, when it can be loose, where it can be loose, or, just everything. There's about 18 pages of city ordinances for animals, which can be found on the city's webpage.
Yeah, but it's not just cats and dogs.
No, we do. We don't pick up wildlife if it's healthy. Uh-huh. So that's going to be the game ranger if it's a wildlife problem. But if it's sick or injured, we do.
So you deal with nuisance animals, but not wildlife. Because I've talked to Mary about this in the past. I have kind of a snake phobia, and I'm always afraid a snake is going to be in my house, and if it shows up, I'm calling Mary. So that will be the one calling you 24/7.
For snakes, that is wildlife that's like minding its own business. Yeah. But we will come move them, and if they're in somebody's house, now if you don't know where it is in your house, we can't help you because we don't go in and move things around. But within reason, if you just saw it and it's right there, you're pretty sure it's right, in a spot, we will take it out and move it for you.
And Mary will be like, "It's a little green snake, Sherry. It's a garden snake." And I'm like, "It's a snake."
They're all copperheads.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But most of the time, they're not. Yeah.
So walk me through a typical day for you. What does Mary see on a daily basis?
We open at 8 a.m., although we usually get there just a little bit before that. Mm-hmm. It starts out with cleaning the animals and taking animals to the vet to be spay and neutered because the vets want them early in the morning. And then you get calls from people who found something the evening before, or they may come in with something they found. And then calls that come in because there's kids getting on school buses, and so there may be loose dogs. Right. Then, the day then is always different. It's never the same. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, most of our calls are about loose dogs. We do get some calls on what people consider nuisance cats, but we don't have a leash law on cats.
But dogs have to have a leash.
Yes.
So they have to have a leash if
They have to have a leash when they're out with the owner, unless they're in a fence or they're tied up.
What constitutes a nuisance cat?
Well, mainly doing property damage. So we're coming over to the house and you've got a cloth thing on the top of your car and they're tearing it up, or they're going to the bathroom in your garden, sandbox or that the kids have, that kind of thing. We also suggest things because it's impossible to remove them all. We suggest different products that you can use to deter the cats in the neighborhood. We also have at the university, and it's an organization I'm involved in, is Operation Catnip Stillwater, where if it's a feral colony, they will come out or have the caretakers bring in the animals to be spayed and neutered and vaccinated, and that stops the reproduction and fighting and smells and many of the things cats do that are a nuisance.
Do we have feral colonies?
Oh, pretty much. There's wild cats
everywhere.
Yeah, and if you see them at places like food establishments because they're eating out of the dumpster or whatever. But if you notice now, one with a tipped left ear, then they're part of the Operation Catnip ones, and they're considered community cats, and they actually help reduce the population because cats are territorial. So if you spay or neuter that whole little colony, they won't allow new ones in, and then you stop having kittens, and after a while there's less cats there. That's the theory. It works if we can get them all done. It doesn't work if we don't get them all done.
Yeah, herding cats, right?
Right.
All right. Okay, so the building you're in, and you share a building. It's been there for a while,
right? The Humane Society was invited in a long time ago, so we are now accepting donations on Facebook, where you can go in and click on a link, I believe, and then you use your PayPal, and it can be used for items at the shelter, or another things that we're starting to work toward is we really hope that soon we're going to get a nice new building.
Yeah, because we've talked about the need for a new building, and if you've been in the building, because it's on North Main,
right
at city limits. I'm not sure what the
it's
block number.
1710, 1700 block 1710 South Main.
Yeah,
and the building was built in 1984. And I've been there a long time. So when I arrived, that was one of the best shelters in the state. And it had problems already. Yeah. But now, the way it's constructed, there's not enough room for us or the animals. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to keep the animals in clean and good condition that we want. And we just feel like Stillwater actually deserves a good place for these animals to be and be healthy and have space and have it be pretty. And
I mean, and Stillwater has grown.
It has grown.
And so the number of people with pets and the number.
We started out with 13 kennels, and we put a little side building to put strays in. That's that many, and we've really outgrown that. There's nowhere to really expand.
Yeah, because you really are landlocked right there. But in addition to the building, so maybe looking at a bond where the city goes to a vote of the people to approve funding for a new building would be one way to get the building. Increasing sales tax with a dedicated line for animal welfare would be another way to get a building. Right. So there are a lot of, and there's organizations that are looking at ways to improve the quality of life, and a building is part of what they're looking at as well. So
it's absolutely needed for the quality of life for our animals. Right. And we really, our goal is to stay with, keep the Humane Society with us, as they were invited into what we have, and we want to expand for both of us.
And it's been a really good partnership.
It's been a great partnership. So there's lots of other places, not just in Oklahoma, but in the state, that look at us as an example and call us up and ask us how it works. And
because staff-wise, it's you and one or two others at a time?
I have 3 officers in the field, and right now I have a caretaker that comes in the morning and cleans, which is fantastic because we didn't have one before.
About that many animals at any one time is such a small staff.
Right. And it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with calls. It's hard to keep up with taking care of the animals. We do have some volunteers that come in. Not a whole lot.
My children have volunteered. They've walked animals, done some cleaning out there. So how does one volunteer?
For us, it's coming in and signing a waiver, and then we try to get people to come in when our caretaker is there because she can show them what to do.
Right.
And then later on, they can come in independently and decide if they want to walk dogs or clean something.
Right.
Humane Society, I think they do everything online now, and they have people sign a waiver as well.
So you do have help, and I know I know you have a lot because sometimes trying to get into the parking lot.
Yeah, it is mostly the Humane Society.
Got
because
there's a lot of activity
a lot
out
of the
there.
groups like the sororities and fraternities. They have to have community service hours and projects. So
Right.
they can all arrive at once, and then we actually worry that people they come and where we worry they don't come in to adopt because there's so many cars. And they think they're all adopting, and they're not. They're
Yeah, I could
mostly
see
they're
that.
volunteering.
So the Humane Society are the ones that post the pictures of the animals that are available for adopt. I see that a lot on Facebook. That these animals available.
we have our page,
You
Stillwater
do that
Animal
too?
Welfare. Yeah, that's all that we have on there is the adoptable animals.
So how
And
long?
we're in the news press on Sundays.
That's true. So how long does an animal on average stay? Does it vary quite a bit, or
Not a whole lot unless we're treating the animal for something. We do have animals that are there longer that are under treatment. Or a cruelty case where we've taken an animal and we hold it or find somewhere for it to be because we have to hang on to them till the case is over. When an animal comes in at stray, an owner has 5 days or 96 hours, but we usually just stretch it over 5 days. It's easier to keep track of to claim the animal, which is quite a bit of time. A lot of places just give 3 days. And then it goes up for adoption. And that's usually when they walk in, particularly puppies, we're going to go ahead and vaccinate it and worm it right away anyway. But after the 5 days, that's when we go ahead and do the spay-neuter and, microchip and put them up for adoption.
and so like older dogs, are they harder to?
It depends
place?
on the animal.
Yeah.
So older cats seem to adopt better than older dogs, and cats live longer.
Yeah.
But people do come adopt older pets.
That's really interesting. So I have never had a pet with a chip. Can you explain to me how? So that would be if
Sure.
I lost.
Yeah,
pet.
so it's not a GPS, and a lot of people think it is, and I think they make those. I don't know how those work, but it's a permanent ID. Although you do have to check them yearly because it's a little foreign body. It's really tiny. It's like a grain of rice, but sometimes the body will push it around or move it and try to push it out. So there is actually a microchip day. I can't tell you what it is. It just comes up on my computer every
Right.
year
Okay.
where you make an appointment at your vet. You could actually bring it to the shelter and we could scan it and, see if its microchip is still in place. But
So it's like a barcode.
it's like, yeah, it comes up with it's actually got a barcode. And so if a vet or we find a chip, then you get on the computer, you put the chip in, a microchip find, it tells you what company it is, then you have to contact the company and give them the number, and normally what happens is they will contact the owner. Sometimes we can get more information because we're a shelter, so then we can call up the owner of the animal. Now, the only way this works is if people keep their information updated.
So you do help reunite lost animals with their owners. I mean,
Right.
that can happen too. So all the people who post on Facebook, and you see a lot, this was my dog, it got out of the yard, and if that was microchipped and you are called that there's a stray animal, that's how would be one way you could reunite them.
Right. And we have reunited animals that were from other states.
Really?
We sent a cat to Michigan. Took me a little while to do it.
How did a cat from Michigan end up here?
It left with someone else, and she had thought she was going to get it back, and then she didn't know where it went, and I don't remember her whole backstory. But when we got the cat, it still went back to her. The microchip still went back to her, so information was still good, and she really wanted him, and she really missed him, and so we arranged a transport to get him
that's
back to
sweet.
Michigan.
Kind of like a homeward bound
So-
story.
Yeah.
And we had a long time ago when microchips were kind of new, someone was traveling and picked up a dog on the highway and drove it all the way from, I think it was Arizona to Stillwater, and then decided to leave it at our shelter. And we started out saying, well, you can't leave it here, you're not from here, but then we checked it for a microchip, and we're going, where did you get this dog? They just picked it up beside the road, so we had to get that one home.
So it was a lost.
It was a lost dog. They just,
Wow.
picked up somebody's dog, and it was a golden retriever. It was pretty.
Oh, yeah, they are pretty, aren't they?
Yeah, so I don't know what they were thinking, but it's happened more than once where they'll come from pretty far away.
Wow, that is so interesting. You kind of have a detective job in addition to.
We do, and now we have to watch Facebook because it used to be that anyone found a dog, they called us. Now they don't. Now they just put it on Facebook. Yeah. And we try to tell people, not everybody in the world has Facebook. Yeah. Most older people don't have Facebook, and so, they'll find some little dog, and it belongs to someone who they don't know how to find anybody, and they hopefully will call us. We get a lot of calls where then we realize we've seen it on Facebook, so that has now become part of our job, is watching these lost and found pages, trying to figure out, the dog that people have called us about. And it's very frustrating to us when people call us and say they've lost their dog, and then we're trying to get a hold of these people on Facebook saying, please call us so we can give you the phone number of the owner. And they never think to call us anymore.
Yeah. So is there anything else about your daily life that you think that you would like to share, that you need people to know about?
I think I've really covered a lot.
You have. It's a busy job, and you wear a lot of different hats.
Right. We
you haven't even got into all of the things that you guys do. We've really just been talking about pets.
Well, most of it is the picking up strays, finding the owner. Yeah. Go. So part of our job, it's actually an ordinance. If you will see that if we think we know who the owner is, we're supposed to follow up on it. Yeah. So that is one of the major things about our job. And then if there's not an owner, we've taken on trying to find a home for it.
That is just such a rewarding job, I would think.
It is. A lot of people ask me if it's sad, and it's like, no, it's mostly really, really fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be frustrating, or people can be angry, but it's a good job.
Yeah. So right now, I'm thinking, boy, my son would really like this dog. And, I don't want a dog, Mary. I don't want one.
You already said you're allergic.
I know, but I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking,
it's hard not to want a puppy that cute.
I know.
I'm not a dog person. I'm a crazy cat lady at its finest, and I want that puppy.
I got 2 kittens right now.
Well, I have 6, so I'm a little full up, but thank you.
Sorry, constant salesperson here.
I take them, too.
Are a doll. Oh, my goodness. And so quiet.
So well behaved.
I know. And he's kind of woke up now, and he's just kind of struck me.
You were talking about me.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. I think we need to bring you back by, and you need to bring some more dogs.
You're right with me.
Or some hedgehogs.
Oh, you wanted to bring the hedgehogs?
That's not part of the job.
Those are her personal. But those are really cute. Oh, my God, they're so cute. So do you spend half your time just taking pictures of them? Because they look so adorable. They are adorable. Well, thank you so much, Mary.
Well, thanks for having me here.
Before we go, let's take a look at the mailbox. The city receives questions in a lot of ways, including email, social media, even phone calls. Our first question today is from Jim on Facebook. In the past, I would go to the city's website and I found a place to report graffiti on city property. I can't find that. Where can I go if I want to post something like this?
Well, you can call the Stillwater Police Department's 24/7 non-emergency line at 405-372-4171. You can also use a feature on our website right on the home page. There's a tab called Who to Contact, and you can report it there as well.
Yeah. Go down to, if you don't see the category that you think there's actually another category, and you can put something in there. And then we will make sure it gets to the right people who can look at that. But it is something the police department would look at graffiti, and they would go in and investigate it. So let's move on to question number 2. Where can I find updates on the city's current projects? This is Brian from Twitter, and I think he's referring to some construction projects or infrastructure improvements that the city works on. Where can he find information about that kind of capital improvement projects, construction, all of the things that they're building something, maybe moving dirt?
Well, our website really is a wellspring of information. If you go to the stillwater.org website and you scroll down just a little bit on the home page, you can find a current project section that includes development projects. airport projects, and transportation projects, and more.
So whenever they get to that page, they will see, so if they click on a project, it will tell them how the project is funded, what stage in the development the project is, if it's under design or if it's ready to move into construction. It'll tell what the funding source is, who's the primary contact at the city. So there's a lot of information on those pages. We also have an infrastructure map, which is also one of the features there. And if you click on the infrastructure map, it'll show you all of the transportation, airport, water utilities, all of the projects that the city's funding at any one time and that we're kind of working on. So it's a lot of good information there.
That sounds like a great resource.
It is, and we're really glad to have it out there for the residents. Well, thanks everyone for listening to another episode of FYI Stillwater.
Tune in for our next podcast.
If you have a question for City Hall, email news@stillwater.org, and in the next podcast, we'll answer a few of them. FYI Stillwater is available on our website at stillwater.org, Spotify, and just about anywhere else you enjoy your podcast.